it just shows that people do trust you and they want to work with you for who you are. Even if you had no idea of what you wanted to do, you had no idea how you're going to start this.
I'm going to fight for my opportunity and I'm going to make the most of having it when I get there.
Even the men who attended, some of them were wearing pink.
They do. Yeah, they know. I guess it's probably worth saying.
You're building a community. I don't know if you noticed I'm wearing pink.
You are, I love it.
Just to match.
Yeah.
It was just for you, and I'm glad you're wearing pink as well.
I have to represent the queens. They wouldn't be very happy with me if I didn't.
So you're building a community, you're building a club that once was just a dream, right? I'm happy to be part of that club. It's called the Queens in Business. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so good. I'm so glad you brought it up. So for me, as I mentioned, I was always building my businesses and I was always driving and striving for more. And I realized one day when I was looking at these 7 figures that I was wanting to earn, and I looked at it thinking, I cannot, when I worked backwards, I was like, if I'm going to make 7 figures, I need to help this many people. I need to do this much stuff. And I looked at it and I was like, this is way too much for just one person. And I realized that if I carried on doing it on my own, I would be the bottleneck and I would solely be the reason it never happened. And I thought, I can't sleep at night with that feeling, that lack mindset. And so I thought to myself, if I want to build this community, because for me, women just need to stand up more. Women need to speak more. We need to speak our truth more. We need to share our stories more. And I love that now in the world we live in, it's happening, like podcasts, proof example, right? Like it is really happening. But for me, it wasn't happening enough and I wasn't playing my big enough part in it.
Right.
And so I decided that I was going to start the Queens in Business Club. But I knew I couldn't do it on my own. And the club has always been, Queens in Business, my whole business has always been about building your visibility, getting featured, becoming an expert and being taken seriously. And I thought, well, what better way to help than, I don't want to bring on employees because that's still my headache in the end of the day. And they'll kick and still leave. So what better way to tie people in than actually bring on business partners? And so I sat down at one day over coffee and I thought, right, who do I want this journey? And within about 10 minutes, a certain number of names came to my head, 5 women, who were all experts in different visibility strategies. Wow. Someone was an expert in branding. Someone else was an expert in speaking. Someone else was an expert in collaborations and joint ventures. Someone else was an expert in writing. And I was an expert in visibility and authority in the press. So I thought, I'm going to ask these ladies. I have no idea how it's going to work. I don't know what money they want to earn. I don't know. I know what they're doing in their business, but do they have capacity? Nothing. I just thought, don't focus on the lack, just ask. If you don't ask, you don't get, is one of the things I live by. And so I sent them all a message and they all said yes.
All of them?
All of them, within an hour. And I sat there going, oh, now we actually have to do this. So we launched the Queens of Business Club and I actually realized this morning it's exactly 2 years today that we launched to the public.
God.
Yeah, as we're recording
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. So we've been going 2 years today and we've helped hundreds of women so far to build their visibility. And the way we do it is we have 5 mentors, me being one of them, and all 5 of us, we own the business. I gave up 80% of my business to these incredible women because I knew that I didn't need to have the ego of owning 100%. And I'd rather have 20% of something incredibly successful than 100% of something that only relies on me.
Wow.
And so everyone thought it was crazy. Everyone was like, what are you doing, Chloe? You've been building your business, your brand for 4 years, and you're about to give it up and give up 80% of it. And I thought, no, I just had this really good feeling. And I can honestly say I've made more money than I thought I would. I've helped more women than I thought I would. And I've had the most fun on the journey. And like you say, now we're building a community where I'm walking down the street or at events and I'm seeing someone wearing a Queens of Business hoodie, seeing someone where people wear pink because they know we're pink and that's the color we represent. And it feels great. And I just feel like, I feel grateful to be in the community, not even just on the one of the 5 co-founders. So yeah, it's been quite a journey and I feel like I'm on a treadmill that's just moving without me needing to do anything, which just feels like so much fun.
That's beautiful. And that also shows how people do trust you as well, because having 5 responses and they're all positive, and it just shows that people do trust you and they want to work with you for who you are. Even if you had no idea of what you wanted to do, you had no idea how you're going to start this, but you know, I'm so glad everyone did say yes. And I enjoy working with them as well. Every single one of them is literally knowledgeable and they know what they're doing and they're very friendly. And so I love the community. Being part of it is just amazing. So thank you for providing the platform.
No problem. Thank you for being a part of it and believing in us, because if it wasn't our members, our community members, those of us that invested in it to be part of it, it wouldn't exist. And when we run events now, you know, we're able to get some really big celebrities who want to speak on our stage and share their message and be featured on our shows and stuff. But they wouldn't say yes if we didn't say we've got 200 women in the audience who want to hear your story. So it's down to people like yourself who also want to be visible, that are sharing their message, that give us the platform to do this.
Well done, well done. Well, why pink?
Oh, do you know what? No one's ever asked me this question. So, as a kid, I hated the colour pink.
Same
growing
here,
up, right?
You know.
And it just never, I didn't like it. And I just remember one day looking at my brand. When I first started my very first coaching business, it was yellow, orange, and purple. And I think it was my mum said to me, why don't you try pink? And my reaction was like, ugh, I don't want light pink. I want strong. I want energy. I want fire. And I want empowerment, like red. And she said, but go for like a really rich raw pink, like a thick, you know, warm color, and like literally like the pink on my jacket. And I saw this color and I was like, that's it.
That's the one.
And so, but this was in my own business first of all. So I just started using pink everywhere. And I've always been good at visibility. I've always been good at getting seen because that's been my expertise. And then people used to say to me, Chloe, every time I see that color pink, I think of you. I'm scrolling on Instagram and if I see pink, even if it's someone else's social media post, I think of you. And that's when I thought, this is it. So then when Queens in Business came about, I was like, well, everybody already knows me for pink, so why not continue that? And it's just been a colour that seems to have followed us. And then when we ran our very first event, the AV guy said, what colour stage do you want? My first reaction was bright pink. And then ever since then, it's just continued and continued. And I think if we tried to rebrand now, I don't think we'd be able to get away with it. I think it would still, the pink will haunt us forever.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, every event I'm in pink.
You are, I love it. And every time we film you like doing a talk, it's like, we know Hadja's going to represent.
and what I like as well, even the men who attended, some of them were wearing pink.
They do, yeah, they know. Because we always have a male panel, so I guess it's probably worth saying we're not about hating men, because I genuinely believe equality is not about spotlighting only women when it comes to gender equality. It's about being equal. So if we just say women this, women this, women this, we hate men, that's not equal. So I'm quite passionate about it, and I think it's about hearing both sides, hearing from both genders, hearing from different backgrounds. You know, that's what equality is. So for us, when we started Queens, I was like, I don't want it to only be women on the stage and only women in the audience, because how are we going to learn diversity? How are we going to learn different opinions? How are we going to learn different strategies? It's not only women that have good strategies in business. Men have just as good strategies, if not better, in certain situations and industries. So when we put on our events, we always have a male panel. And we always have male speakers. And the amount of women that show up to it to hear the men's perspective, and the men that agree to be on it, because the male panel is not an easy panel to be on. Like the last event, I asked them, like, if you woke up tomorrow as a woman, what would you do differently? And they all looked at me and I was like, yes, I've asked that question, because I want to know. And I think, you know, the fact that they show up and they're open and they're honest and they're raw, it's just, that's what we want to create.
So I like that, because I was going to tap into it. Now, what is the view of women that it's just a women's community?
Yeah, I think a lot of women are burnt and upset and hurt by having less opportunities, having disadvantaged backgrounds. I think a lot of women, and you could say it with any background really, any inequality in the world, there's two ways you can approach it. Yeah. One is, I'm going to fight for my opportunity and I'm going to make the most of having it when I get there. And there's the other side, which is the frustration and the pain and the anger of having that in the first place. And I think there's a lot of women around that are still upset by that, are still frustrated by that. And so that's why a lot of women create women-only communities from a perspective of lack, because it's the unknown, it's the frustration, it's the fear. I didn't have that. I didn't have the same opportunities as a man, so I'm going to stay in my only community. But again, come back down to that. It's a place of lack. How are we going to create anything great in a place of lack? Nothing grows if there's no nutrients in soil, right? Like that's just the way it is. So for me, I see a lot of women that when we have men on our stages or men speakers on our shows and stuff, they're like, but I thought this was women only. No. We create the community for women so we have a safe space, but we're equal in terms of who we learn from and the expertise we have.
Wow. And don't women feel, because sometimes it's up to us, right? To step up and just be more visible and just take those steps, and having the community and the support is amazing. But don't women still lack that confidence? Don't women still be, because I wish everyone has access to what you're offering. And I wish every single woman just thinks, you know what, I can do it just because these women are doing it. It's an influence for me. But don't you think that they just get still intimidated by the male presence? Because I've been on stages myself. And if I see the ratio, it's usually about 8-1 or 6-1. And the audience is 70% women.
Yeah.
So why is it that literally the ratio of women on stage and the ratio of women in the audience is completely different?
Yeah. And the one thing I want to highlight, Hadja, what you just said, is it's always one. You might have 6 men on a stage and 1 woman. You might have 8 men on a stage, 1 woman. You might have 10 men on a stage, 1 woman. And I see that so much ever since I've been a speaker. And I remember people used to always say to me, does it not frustrate you that the only reason you get picked to speak on stage is because you're the only female speaker they know?
Oh my God.
I've heard it so many times. And do you know my answer to that? I don't care why they gave me the opportunity. I want to show them why they need to keep giving me the opportunity. Because for me, I agree with you. A lot of women don't speak up. A lot of women don't stand out. They don't put themselves out there. They don't push to be visible. But I think part of the challenge is because they think they have to be something they're not. And one of my core values is authenticity. So I'm not saying be on stage and be like me. I'm not saying be visible and be like Hadja. I'm saying be visible as yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people struggle with that because they don't know what that looks like. They might listen to this podcast and think, okay, I'm going to speak like that. I'm going to say that language. I'm going to have that tone of voice. I mean, I used to teach public speaking, so I know a lot of it. A lot of people model, and they build a business based on a personality or an energy that's not their own. You don't have to be overly confident to be a great speaker. You don't have to be overly, boisterous and high energy and empowering energy to be visible. You just have to do you really, really, really freaking well. And that's why I always say to women, it's okay if you're softly spoken. It's okay if you're quite down to earth and quiet. You don't have to be high vibe energy and out there like I am. Just be you, because the people that want that are like that, will resonate with you way more than they'll resonate with my energy. So it's about, yes, being confident, but be confident in being your way. Be visible your way. That's what will get you the results.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. I'm sure it's going to inspire a lot of women who are listening to us today. And you said earlier how men sometimes react to you being the only female. I've had that as well. And worst thing I've had is someone come to me, and a man who came to me and said, oh, what I'm going to see is if you could do it, then there is no reason for me not to do it. And he said it in such a way that it made me feel like I wanted to punch him. But I didn't. But I said, well, good luck. Where do you think he's still right now? Honestly, to God, like, he is still where he was. So there's no reason to compare women to men. There's no reason to be like, oh, we're too different. I'm going to prove this and I'm going to... No, we're equal, as you said. And it's just up to us to do whatever we want to do. If you don't want to be on stage, you can still speak. You can still be a successful woman. You can still be a successful mom. You can be... So success is, as you said earlier, is being happy doing what you're doing rather than just thinking or comparing yourself to someone you aspire to be like. I want to thank you for tuning in and liking and being so engaging. I'm loving the love and the support you're showing me every single episode. If you have any questions, make sure you follow us on all our social media and leave all your comments and your burning questions in the comment section down below. If you're listening to us through the audio platforms, Spotify, iTunes, or if you're watching us on YouTube, do not forget to give us a subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to the Diaries of Success. I was your host, Hadja Beyaz. Until the next episode, do not forget to live your best life.